Hey friend, David here from Learn Christmas Lighting, and in this video I want to talk about using DMX lights, light type lights in your Christmas display. So many of you guys know my background is stage lighting, right? That's where I came from. That's how I learned pixels initially, and then began applying it to doing a household display. So I know a lot about DMX and I've used it a lot. And in this video, we're going to show you how to use it in X lights and do a demo here with a little mini moving head. Now, things to know about DMX lights. So DMX, usually with most of the controllers we use in Christmas lighting, whether it be a Falcon or an Advatech or whatever, they often have a DMX port on them, and it's usually an Ethernet port. Now, you may need to make an adapter or buy an adapter to get that into a DMX jack, which is typically a 3 or 5 pin XLR. Now, on the budgety end, which is what we usually use for Christmas light on people's houses, we're going to see 3 pin DMX as the most common, and that's what the mini moving head behind me has. Now, with DMX, you may know, like here in X lights, right, you're going to have, when you set things up, universes as well as addresses. Here inside of with DMX, you don't have, you assign the universe to the output port, and then you just have the address on the light itself, okay? So that's something else to be aware of there. So let's go ahead. I've got this mini moving head, and the first thing I want to do is I'm just going to set it up as an Ethernet. That's how you're going to set up DMX a lot of the time. Sometimes you'll use a USB DMX, but more and more common, you're coming off of a Falcon or off of another controller. So we'll just add an Ethernet. It'll be E1.31 or ArtNet. Again, that depends on exactly what you're doing, okay? And then I need to remember the IP address of the node I have this plugged into. Yep. So the controller I have this plugged into is 192.168.0.205. It's E1.31. Start universe is 1. Awesome. So we'll set that up, and then the next thing I want to do is set each light to a unique DMX address, okay? So each light has a certain number of channels that it takes. With this one, I honestly don't remember. It's probably 10 or 11. And so if we had 2 of these lights, we'd do the first one at 1, DMX address 1, and then the second at 12, etc., etc., etc. Pretty simple there. So in my layout tab, I want to go ahead and I want to add a new fixture. So we're going to go to DMX here, and you see we have some different options here. So we have moving heads, we have moving head 3D, etc., etc. I think I like moving head 3D the best. I'll pop one of those in, drag it up so I can see it, turn it so it points straight up. Actually, I think this is straight up. We'll find out in a minute. And I want to set up the number of channels here. I'm going to set 11 because I think that's how many there are. And I made it huge, I realized that, but we can always change that. And then we'll go ahead and set the pan to 1. Actually, you know what? Let me just get the manual for this thing so then I know. All right, so I didn't find the manual for the exact unit. I lost it. But this thing, it's the monoprice one. It literally looks the same. And it tells me that the DMX channels are 9 or 14, which is what the specs for mine say. So we're going to go with 9, I think. And 14 will just give you a smoother pan and tilt control, usually. Actually, let's see what mode this one's in. Hold on. We'll power it on here. All right, so there I went ahead. I set the DMX address to 1, and I set the mode to 9 channel. So that shows me that we are pan tilt, then dimmer, red, green, blue, white, then some macro stuff that we won't touch. Well, we might touch the pan tilt speed, actually. So get that out of the way, and we'll go ahead and make it a 9 channel. Pan channel is 1. Tilt channel is 2. I appreciate all that they have in here. And so ranges are 540 on the pan and 270 on the tilt. So just at this point, we're just entering in the most, the informational stuff. Yeah, I don't know that info, so we're just going to leave it. Then red, let's see, is 7, 8, 9, 10. Is red, green, blue, white, so 7, 8, 9, 10. Shutter, there really isn't a shutter channel, but we're going to put in the dimmer 6 as the shutter since there isn't an overall dimmer on here. Then the most important thing here then is to do the start channel, and I'm just going to do the universe address format. So that's number, universe 1, and then address 1. At which point, the unit does say it has DMX. It's got a blinking DMX light. Don't always trust those. When it comes to DMX and DMX activity lights, every light is different. Same with the menus and the addressing and stuff. Look to the manual. It's going to show you how to set up the mode, set up the address. Every light is different, but they do follow some patterns that you'll start to understand in the menus as you get into them. So let's go ahead and test this guy. So I'm going to turn on my, it was seeing data because of something else in my system. So I'll turn on the output to lights, and then I'm just going to go create a new sequence. No music, quick start. So I'm going to go ahead to my effects. The DMX effect is going to help you out a lot here, because if I drag it to my unit here, I then get my different channels. All right, and so then jumping ahead, not to confuse, but what happened was because I had my Falcon in here and my Ethernet using the same universe, it only sent to my Falcon through ZCPP. Now, normally you wouldn't do that in a display. I was just doing that for testing. So I temporarily deleted my Falcon. Don't worry, I'll bring it back from my backup later. And I created a new moving head at start channel 1, DMX 1. And so now I'm in my sequence. I created the DMX effect. And so now we can see, okay, pan as noted, tilt, and then whatever's next. 5, I believe, is the dimmer. 6, no, maybe 3 is the dimmer. See? Yep. So 3 is dimmer / shutter. Then we've got red. Then we've got green. Then we've got blue. They mix together to make all these lovely colors. And now we can build them into a sequence. And so this is where it gets fun, is bringing things into sequences and starting to play around with different effects and different movements and saying, okay, if I put my moving heads here, then I can put them here, etc., etc. So that's the basics on getting moving heads into your X-Light sequence. Process is probably similar in Vixen, though I haven't done it. But the general gist is, like I said at the start of the video, get that light assigned to an address and a universe, assign that universe to the proper port on your controller. Then you can go into X-Lights, bring this guy in, create a DMX model, define the characteristics, and you're good to go. It's a little more complicated than pixels, but if it's something you want to add to your show, it's certainly worth it. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, hit subscribe. Head over to learnchristmaslighting.com to grab my free guide, and we'll see you in our next video. The free guide, by the way, is going to go through the things I wish I knew when I started with Christmas lighting, and I want to share those with you too. So hop over there, grab that guide. We'll see you in the next video. Thanks, and Merry Christmas.